Am I wrong for returning the shoes I got for my husband after he accused me of stealing from him? My 29, husband 36 is the breadwinner of the family. I stay home with the kids who are preschool age. He pays for the mortgage, bills, household needs, food, kids' needs, etc. He has set a monthly budget for each category and handles getting everything done. Recently, he has become overwhelmed and told me to handle grocery shopping, but before he let me, he asked me to write a list of all the stuff we need so he could calculate the total and also so he'd have an idea of how much I'll be spending when I take his credit card. I didn't have an issue with that because this way we'd watch our spending habits. However, he said I'm never allowed to get something that isn't on the list unless I'm paying for it some other way. Huh? On Friday, I was doing some grocery shopping as usual and saw that the store had some nice shoes on sale. The price was insanely low for this brand, and so I decided to grab a pair for my husband, thinking he'd be happy with them since he needed new sneakers anyway. I bought them, and when I showed them to him, he flipped out on me saying I made a huge mistake by buying something that wasn't on the list. I agreed with him, but I thought that since the shoes were for him, then it'd be different. He said I screwed up and shouldn't have bought those sneakers without telling him. To my defense, I said the price was so low and it's not like I spent $100 on shoes. And also, I saw this as a great deal and wanted him to have those nice sneakers. He plainly said that what I did is considered stealing since he never consented to have those sneakers purchased and said that I'm being irresponsible with money. That is why I no longer have an income and my spending habits need a grip. We argued about it for hours and he avoided speaking to me for the rest of the day. The next day, I went and returned the sneakers and took the money back. He got home in the evening and lost it when he found out. He said he couldn't believe how petty and childish I was to actually do this. I explained that I was just correcting my mistake. He tried to contact the store and was told the sneakers were already sold. He got even angrier with me, but I told him that he accused me of stealing from him when I was just trying to do a nice gesture. He yelled that I had a lot of nerve calling what I did a nice gesture while using his money to do it. I told him he had no right to yell at me after I corrected my mistake and gave back the money he accused me of stealing. He threw a fit, then went out to his friends and came home late at night still not talking to me. So am I wrong here?
Story time about how I had my boyfriend beat up for cheating on me and all the terrible things I did to get back at him. My boyfriend and I had been together for 5 years. During that time together, I really wanted to get married, and I would bring it up all the time. After the first year, he told me that he wasn't ready to get married, and that was basically his excuse for the 5 years that we were together. Come to find out that he had cheated on me with over 20 women, even with my best friend. When he and I first started dating, he was really sweet and kind. He was also borderline obsessed with me. He would get jealous over every little thing. He would call me at random times asking me where I was, and he always knew where I was because I had my location turned on his phone. In other words, he was always trying to catch me in a lie. Fast forward to last year. I told him that if he still wasn't ready to get married, that I needed to move on and find someone else. He got really angry, pulled my hair, and threw me up against a wall. And after that, of course, I broke up with him. He begged me to get back with him for 2 months, and I finally gave in and said yes. But once again, he told me that he was still not ready to get married. This is where my best friend comes in. One day, she sends me screenshots of my boyfriend's dating profiles. I had no idea, but he was on Tinder and Bumble. That's when my best friend told me that he'd been cheating on me with so many girls. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I had my boyfriend beat up after finding out that he cheated on me with over 20 women and my best friend. After my best friend sent me the screenshots, I called her and asked her to come over. That's when out of nowhere, she confessed to me that he had cheated on me with so many girls. I asked her how she found out all this information and she would not tell me. Then she started to cry. I got a horrible feeling that she was one of the girls. So I pressured her into telling me the truth. And that's when she confessed that she had done the dirty with my boyfriend over 5 times. And that he was the one that had been chasing her. I was incredibly heartbroken, but I needed to hear the truth. Then she told me the rest. And that the only reason that she even told me about all of this was because she was upset that he was cheating on her. Yep. Apparently, my boyfriend told her that he was going to break up with me to be with her. But she was really jealous and started doing her own digging. That's when she started looking for his dating profiles and found them. She then contacted a bunch of girls on Instagram that followed him, and it turns out that they had all done it with him. And that he had promised all of them to break up with me to be with them. In total, he had cheated on me with about 22 girls. And those were the ones that we knew of. I kicked my ex-best friend out of my house and I haven't spoken to her since. But I'm grateful that she was honest with me. I confronted my boyfriend and he went crazy again. That's when he told me that my best friend was making everything up because she was in love with him. Once again, he pinned me up against the wall and threatened if I left him. And he tried to kiss me. Part 3 is up. Story time about how I had my boyfriend beat up for cheating on me with 20 girls and my best friend. And abusing me. As he had me pinned up against the wall, I managed to kick him and he let me go. I ran for my life. I went straight to my parents' house and told them everything. By the way, my dad is an ex-cop, so I knew my boyfriend was not going to chase me to my parents' house. My dad called his connections and got them to find my boyfriend. My dad was trying to convince me to press charges against him, but I just couldn't do it. So they had to let him go. After a few days, I noticed my now ex is starting to follow me around. I noticed his car following me at night, and anytime I parked parked in a public space, he would try to park right near me. One night as I was leaving my job, I was getting into my car and he came running at me. That's when he grabbed my face and told me that he still wanted to be with me and that I couldn't be with anybody else. He was acting crazy. Then he tried to force me to get into his car, but I fought him off. I told him that he would regret it if he didn't leave me alone, and he finally left. Right then and there, I called a few friends and told them that I needed help. And they knew what I meant by that. They ended up beating him up and he was left with a broken ankle. And he never tried looking for me again. Now when he sees me around town, he literally runs away. I even started a Facebook group with all the girls that he cheated on. And we're basically spreading the word about what this guy is really like. If you have anyone in your life that is like this, or anyone that tries to force you to do anything, or mistreats you, please speak out. I'm so much happier.
In high school, I was in the girls' locker room just like throwing on some extra deo for the BO, and I made awkward eye contact with one of my friends while I was deodoranting up, and she looked at me and she went, "Did you know that deodorant is actually addictive?" And I was confused because this was 2009. This was before everybody started hating deodorant for some reason. And I said, I mean, I wear it every day, so you could say that I'm addicted to it. And she said, yeah, the more you wear it, the more your body thinks you need it, and the worse you're going to end up stinking. That's why I never wear deodorant, because I don't want my body to get addicted to it. And I was confused because this was not like a resident witch girl, okay? And I don't have anything against witches. I don't want to offend the witch community, but like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they had like magic hygiene habits. But she wasn't. She was like one of the popular rich girls, and I was like, okay, good luck with never wearing deodorant ever. But I never smelled her, so maybe she was just one of those people who doesn't stink when they sweat. My dad's that way. He has that gene, and I always thought that I had it until I was like 13 or 14, and my brother said, hey, you know how dad has that awesome gene? I was 13, and my brother said, hey, you know how dad has that really cool gene where he doesn't stink when he sweats? And I said, yeah, and my brother said, you don't have it. Go put on deodorant. And I was like, I mean, I wanted to be mad at him, but I figured that he could have just let me walk around being the smelly girl, and he didn't, so that was really nice of him.
I work as a security guard, and me and my team have traditionally worn a typical police-style uniform when on duty. We recently had a new site manager who wanted to change our image and impose one of those concierge-style uniforms with a blazer and tie, despite all of us objecting as it was uncomfortable, impractical, and we all hate the way it looks. The manager told us the uniform change was coming whether we liked it or not, because one thing he cares about more than anything is presenting the right image. So after we began wearing the new uniform, my team, at my instruction, began to deliberately make ourselves look as gross and slovenly as possible. For example, we would spill food and drink on our uniforms on purpose and not wash them or iron them prior to starting a shift. One guy made a point of wearing his uniform when he went to the gym and worked out before coming on duty, so the uniform was crumbled, drenched in sweat, and reeking. We would drag our blazers through the dirt and mud and wear shirts half untucked. When I needed to sneeze, I would openly and in front of clients sneeze into the tie that I was wearing and loudly blow my nose into it like it was a handkerchief. Also, at the end of every shift when writing our reports, each of us would always litter the report with mentions of how bad the uniform was and how it made the job more difficult. Complaints about our appearances skyrocketed, and the manager held an emergency meeting where he screamed at us and called us selfish a-holes. But we refused to be cooperative, so he was eventually let go because he couldn't manage us effectively. Before he left, he told me that I was the biggest piece of crap he ever met for being the ringleader of this whole thing. I don't think I am, but the fact that he was fired and has a family is the thing that makes me consider that maybe I